Board meeting. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Just want to remind anybody who's here for some of these items to be adjourned tonight to a future meeting will be T-Mobile, Vassar, Haifa, Raymond Avenue School, and Stewart's projects. And off the agenda tonight are Salt Point Center, 766 Main Street, and Fox Run, in case you're here for any of those. All right, first up is Shabbat Lubavitch at 63 Vassar Road, seeker review and site plan hearing regarding a site plan application for a one-story, 2285 square foot addition to the existing structure. Zone R20. Welcome.
Good evening, Alfred Capelli, architect. We have Tom Scrables here, who's the project engineer for the Chabad. I'm here just for accompaniment. So Tom will take the lead in terms of presenting what he has and answering any engineering questions that there may or may not be.
All right. So what have you changed since last time, I guess, is what we're looking to see.
Do you mind if I go over to the plan?
Yeah, just take the portable mic with you. You have to turn it on. It takes about 3 seconds.
Okay, we've submitted a 3-sheet set of plans, but the changes are relatively minor. We added some parking spaces on the southwest corner of what was the proposed parking area. So now we have a total of 15 spaces. We added a site light. There's one lamp, one fixture. There's lighting levels shown on the drawing. And then we modified the grading utility plan and the landscaping plan to add landscaping to extend to cover the additional parking, and also to provide the swale that was shown for drainage purposes to extend all the way across the parking. So any runoff that leaves the parking area would get into the swale as it was intended to previously. Those are the basic changes. We have received some reports from various professionals. The vast majority of we obviously have no objection to. There's just a couple items that we should probably get into, but we'll see how the board wants to proceed.
Yep, all right. Thanks.
Eric is grabbing the negative declaration that was drafted off the printer because apparently it didn't come through. So
Okay.
he should be here momentarily to
Let's see, is there any engineering issues on this project that you know of?
Not anything of consequence. The only thing we did want to see was prior to construction, the staking of the property lines, just to make sure that, some of the trees are pretty tight, just to make sure that everything stays on the property when it's built.
All right. This is on for public hearing, so I move we open the public hearing for this project.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. How many we got here? 5-0. Is there anyone in the audience wish to speak on this project tonight? Seeing none, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, I'll go to Eric now for any additional comments on Chabad.
Sure. The planning department is recommending that the board adopt a seeker negative declaration and condition site plan approval. There aren't too many issues, as stated in the review. They've met the parking demand. A little bit more information on the plans and it should be set.
Okay, thanks, yep.
I don't know if the board wanted to discuss specifically the fire department issues. That's probably something that the board should set forth on the record, its position. As you know, the fire department was recommending a slight reconfiguration to allow the truck turnaround, and we should have the board's thoughts on that.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Let's go around the board for comments with that in mind. Start with Nicole here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you should probably get with the fire department on that if they're requiring that for safety reasons. Also, I just wanted to add, if you are cutting down any trees, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are, just remember that we have the endangered Indiana bat in your area, so you have to keep it between October 1st and March 1st. Also, I just wanted to mention again, with the parking, if you're acquiring more than 15 spaces, you'll have to have that other location for parking purposes. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Peter?
Just good luck. You've come a long way. I'm sure it hasn't been easy. And when I think of you, I think of Isaiah 40:11. He tends his flock like a shepherd. Keep up the good work.
Rocco?
I think I'm good.
And Joan?
I just saw a notation on the notes about variances purportedly being applied for. Were they applied for?
Did you need a setback variance that you needed to?
I know the applicant had prepared an application, but they can't progress with the zoning board until after a seeker determination by the
Oh, okay.
board as lead agency.
Okay, thank you. That's my only comment.
Right, for my comment, I guess the fire department, I think it's a very narrow lot, as Eric has said, so I'm not sure you're changing the whole thing, cutting down more trees to allow a turnaround is
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
necessary, but
our position is we
what's your
literally
view?
can't fit the turnaround. We physically can't fit it. If you look at the site plan, we just have enough room for parking with a 25-foot aisle. There's no way we could fit a full turnaround in there as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of other existing narrow lots in the town of Poughkeepsie, unfortunately, that's new guidance from the fire department would like to be able to do that, but if it's set back off the road a bit. But I think we'll have to live with it. Any other comments from the board on that?
Yeah, no, my only comment would be, I think it was pointed out in the papers, it's kind of akin to a residential property, that there's no turnaround for that, and because of the nature of this lot, there's just nothing physically that can be done. So I guess that would be my comment. So I think it is, to echo your sentiment, something that, just has to be, it's the reality of this lot, so.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Joe. With no further comments, I guess we'll move right along.
I move that the planning board, as lead agency, hereby determines that the Chabad Lepovich 63 Vassar Road site plan would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and that no environmental impact statement will be required for these reasons set forth in the seeker negative declaration for an unlisted action dated October 17th, 2019.
Second?
Moved and seconded for seeker. Called to question. All those in favor?
Let them go.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I move that the planning board grant conditional site plan approval for the Chabad Lepovich 63 Vassar Road site plan subject to the following. Respond to the comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies. Said responses to be reviewed by the planning department as to adequacy and completeness included but not limited to the following 1 through 10.
And I'd like to add 11 that we agreed on the, no fire department turnaround.
And 11, no fire department turnaround.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. It's 5-0. Are you prepared to do architectural review?
Yes, so you should have the rendering and the elevations that were submitted many, many months ago. I have samples here, what was specified on the elevations in terms of the color of the siding, hardy siding, the brick, and the GAF slate gray roof shingles has not changed. And again, I have the actual samples here, not on a board, but the light mist for the hardy siding where we did have it on the new building and on the existing building. The slate gray, you can imagine what slate gray looks like, but I have a sample here of the slate gray. to go with the siding,
Okay,
and we have the brick, like a new used brick type of.
okay,
thing.
so it's not
that's
quite
what
as
we
bright
have.
red as
And predominantly, that's what you have. You have some white trim there, which we didn't bring any samples of the white trim, and predominantly, that's what we have. So nothing's changing on
Yep.
the exterior of the building.
looks nice. It's a lot more subdued than the printout. Always, it's a bright red here.
Yes,
so
yeah,
that's-
that over there looks probably a little bit whiter. This is like a light.
Or the brick, I was saying.
Oh, the brick, oh, that looks
Just
very
the-
red, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I
yes,
was
yes. Yeah.
wondering how that was going to look, so that looks good. Anybody have architectural comments? I move we accept architecture as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. You're good to go.
We're all set, thank you very much. Thank you for your efforts.
Yeah, good luck with the project.
No, don't worry about it. You sure? Yes.
Next up, Valley Christian Church. Seeker review and site plan hearing for proposed change of use from a recreation facility to a religious place of worship, including alteration and addition to the existing building and repair and expansion of existing parking. 657 Sheaf Road, Zone BH, Highway Business District. It's 3.63 acres. It's an unlisted action, and Valley Christian Church is the owner. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks, Lisa. Drop the stuff. Thank you.
All right, can you describe what you've changed since last time?
Good evening. My name is Christian Paggi, representing the applicant. Yeah, so
from Tinkelman Architecture.
since the previous submission, we responded to the majority of the consultant comments, but the most significant revisions were showing the private pump station on the Valley Christian property discharging to the approved pump station location on the adjacent northerly lot, the Forsons apartment project. And that was just schematically shown, just to show a viable option for that. We also made some changes to the site distance plan that we were showing for the access, the existing access to the site. There were some clarifications made, and we also showed the town standards versus the AASHTO standards. And basically, we were showing that they do meet or exceed the town standards for site distance. I know that there was a comment from the town engineer on providing additional information on how the measurements were taken. We took no issue with that comment, and it was something that was just omitted from the plan as far as indicating the height, the vertical height off the pavement, that those measurements were taken, but they do meet the town standards, and I can provide that to the town engineer.
Good.
There's still some comments that are to be addressed that we indicated that we would address in future submissions. Most of them are kind of nuts and bolts, but the most significant comment that kind of remains outstanding is the location of the infiltration basin on the westerly side of the property. The town's environmental consultant and the town engineer recommend us moving that away from the existing berm to try to avoid or minimize the disturbance to that berm and not reduce the height of it or go onto the downhill side of it, which kind of leads directly into the wetland buffer area. So we have no issue with doing that. There is some room to do that. I don't foresee that being a problem, and we'll submit that in our future submissions.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
Sure. Let's see, our recommendation for tonight is also to to adopt a seeker negative declaration and consider granting site plan approval after the public hearing. I guess a couple of issues that we noted, which I think can be conditions of review if the board is comfortable with it, are one, we had agreed for similar reasons to the town engineer that there should be some reconfiguration behind the building to avoid a fire truck pathway that passes over the main pedestrian and handicapped access to that side of the building, which we think can be accomplished with some minimum amount of work or one-way circulation. Couple of changes to other circulation. We thought if the board's in agreement that the one space less than that required by code is acceptable, if you agree, given that the applicant has talked about if attendance goes up and they don't have enough room, they can always hold additional services.
Yes.
So we thought that was okay. The planning board should discuss the applicant's proposal on the facade. When you get to architectural review, the proposal is for no windows. The code does say that there should be windows, and they've provided an alternate rendering for that purpose, so you should indicate which one you prefer.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much it. We've asked, the engineers suggest, we've also suggested they look into, but that the board not require a cross-access easement to the south. You can't require an adjacent property owner to do that, but if it might serve both properties well, so we've asked that they at least ask about it.
Okay. That's probably good to do. It's all under consideration with the sewer access as well. All right, at this point, I move to open the public hearing for this project.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. There was no one signed up, but is there anyone in the audience wish to speak on this project tonight? Seeing none, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Let's go to engineering.
Christian's already mentioned the site distance. We wanted a couple of clarifications. That and the sewer, obviously, are probably still the two biggest outstanding things, but they have shown that they can make a connection to the Forson's property for the moment, and that'll suffice.
Okay, good. Thanks. Let's go around the board for additional comments. Start with Joan this time.
I don't have any comments.
Okay.
I think I'm good, and I'm glad that this is being reused.
Nicole?
Yeah, just a couple. I just wanted to reiterate what the fire department requested for an inspection report of the flow and pressure data of the fire service main and hydrant on Chief Road. I think you guys got that information right. Also, again, I said this with the prior plan that we were just talking about, but Indiana Bat is also in your area, so if you're going to take down any trees, it has to be done between October 1st and March 1st. And then my last comment is, of course, you need Department of Health approval before the chairman signs the plans, and that's it.
All right, thank you. Peter?
Question for the town engineer. That is, you've looked at the plan, looking at the plan, with regard to the infiltration basin, you feel comfortable that there's enough space there to shift that so there won't be a problem in the future?
Yes.
Okay. The question of having to go to additional services to accommodate parking, I'm fine with that, but I think it wouldn't hurt for us to have that as a condition of approval so that down the line, we have something in writing that basically says that everybody's on the same page. And finally, you're having discussions with Forsons. Can you fill us in? How do things look right now in terms of your being able to tie into the pump station?
So right now, I know that they're in the process of constructing the force main from the existing manhole down by the hotel.
Right.
So the owner of Forsons has been in contact with not only the owner, the applicant for this project, but also the adjacent property owners too. He just today just sent a proposal for just to start the process to establish these agreements for cost sharing and determining easements. So we're kind of just fine tuning the details of the layout, where these easements are going to be, and what the cost sharing is. So
Have you seen the document?
seen the
You said he sent out a proposal today.
Yes, he did. It was a draft proposal just to get the ball rolling. So
Have you seen it?
yes.
And how, I mean, just want to get a sense of, you know, does it look like there's something there, there's a basis for
Absolutely.
moving
Yep.
forward?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're definitely moving full steam ahead. As of this afternoon, we actually scheduled a pre-construction meeting for actual site work to begin. So that meeting is scheduled for next week.
Right.
For Forsons.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Great.
I did want to just point out, I know there was some, we had a person come in from the community yesterday who was a resident to the south of the project along Camelot. And she just had some questions about the project and was concerned a little bit about if there would be a lot of vegetation removed in the back area. And I noticed that in the plan that you provided, kind of updated a little bit today, that you put a note in there about protecting that area in the southwest corner, and I appreciate that. That's
Actually, that was my comment to the applicant, that they should, there are 3 additional comments in an email that you received today. And one of them was
that's your comment, right.
seeking to protect that area based on my discussion with the applicant. They said they were willing to revise the grading and the disturbance area to pull it in closer to the parking lot and maintain greater buffering in that southwest corner. So that label is actually the recommendation of staff.
of staff, right, but then you agreed to do that. Gotcha.
Okay, great.
I follow.
Thanks for accommodating the neighbors' wishes there. My 2 cents are, it's great to see, as Rocco said, great to see an adaptive reuse of an empty building, and that'll be terrific. And keep in mind, when you do figure out where the sewer is all going, you know, the maintenance access is important. So I did have a question. What, you know, as noticed from the landscape plan, you're putting in some street trees along Sheaf, which is great. What type of trees are those, do you know?
I don't know offhand. It was submitted in the plant schedule. I could,
Okay, I didn't look at see the detail of that, so I guess you worked that out with the department, what type of trees will be hardy enough to survive along the road edge, because of the salt sometimes hurts landscaping there. So I guess we're good to go with this. Yep, that's it. Right.
I move that the planning board, as lead agency, hereby determines that the Valley Christian Church site plan would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and that no environmental impact statement will be required for the reasons set forth in the seeker negative declaration for an unlisted action dated October 17, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded for seeker. Call to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 0.
I move that the planning board grant conditional site plan approval for the Valley Christian Church site plan, subject to the following: 1 through 12.
I think 14.
There were an additional 3 in the email.
Sorry.
Additional 3, but that,
So 1 through 15.
sure.
And also, there was Peter's.
Yeah, I would like to also add the condition of, you know, additional services if required.
1 through 16.
Okay. Motion's been amended and seconded. Call to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. You're prepared to do architectural review?
yes. So the main body of the existing building, the facade, the metal panels will be painted in a light gray. This is called the Thundercloud Gray of a Benjamin Moore swatch. The new additions for the entries, the orange that you see, will be in this color here. The actual material, we're looking at two different systems at the moment. They both have the same appearance and aesthetics. It's a reveal system. You can see here, this is one system that has the aluminum panel and has an exposed H-channel reveal that will create the different patterns that you see on the facades. The other system, but they're both either will be the same, painted the same color, is the Hardy Reveal panel system, which also utilizes the same channel track and to give you that panel look.
Where does that go? Around the?
That's at the entry, the new entry additions. And then for the white inside and the canopies, that will be a bone white. And again, it's either the same, it's the aluminum panel or the reveal system, but same would be the both color. And the new storefront entries are going to be anodized aluminum curtain wall system. And that's the extent of the materials and colors that we picked out for the facade. The other question was the preference of the windows or not.
You had a rendering that showed the two different.
Right, that's these two renderings here. The one on the left, you can see has the windows on either side of the entrance, and on the right is what currently exists.
And what windows would they be, faux windows, or would they be
No,
real windows?
they'll be operable real windows.
So I know you had some space on the other side of there. We didn't need windows, but.
Right, yeah, the side on the left side was mostly in the storage. One window fell within the cafe area. All the others were in the storage facility, and then the other ones on the right-hand side fell within the green room and conference room.
I guess, in my preference is to see the windows. I mean, you may decide to use the storage for something else in the future, perhaps, and want some natural light in there. That was my take on it, but I don't know what anybody else on the board feels like.
Definitely windows.
Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely windows.
Windows.
Yeah, windows.
All right, I guess we're getting a quorum here of looking for the windows, so.
Okay.
That's the new town code, so it's.
Would you like me to pass around the sample materials?
No, that's fine. We showed them up that way, so unless anybody wants to see them up close.
Eric, do you want the samples?
If they're little,
Eric, yes, he would take.
they'll fit in the file folder.
And so this, you're doing you're cladding the whole building all the way around with the new. Before he gets back. So you're going all the way around all four sides of the building with that new material?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But the new painting, we're painting the existing facade, all
yes,
sides.
painting.
Yep.
All right, anybody have any other architectural comments?
Yeah, I've got a question. In the worship center, is that going to be stadium-like seating on an incline, or is it going to be flat?
No, it's a flat level.
Okay.
All right. I move we accept architecture as presented with the additional windows in the front.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. You're good to go. So
Thank
good
you
luck
so
with the
much.
project and hope the sewer issues get worked out soon.
Us too. Thank you guys so much for your help.
Appreciate all your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Greystone Rehab, a public hearing and amended site plan and special use permit to convert a first floor of 36 Violet Avenue into a day hab for 20 individuals and support office space. It's at 36 and 42 Violet Avenue, zone RM residence multifamily. It's a type 2 action for seeker, and Greystone Programs Incorporated is the owner. Welcome, guys.
Thanks. Good evening, I'm Rich Tompkins with Morey Architects. And Rich Swanson with Greystone Programs.
Okay.
So I'll just give you a brief overview. This is a amended site plan.
Yep.
We received approval back in, I believe it was August of 2017. At the time, we were converting 36 Violet Avenue, which was all offices at the time for Greystone, into 6 apartments. And over the past couple of years, we've been working diligently to try to get funding for that, and it just did not happen. So we are in front of you today to amend that site plan. Our proposal is to leave the lower level of 36 Violet Avenue as office space and convert the first floor of 36 into a day treatment or day hab space.
So the first floor is what's coming in from the street level, and the lower levels from around the back.
From
Is that
around the
what I
back.
remember? Okay.
Correct, yes. Other than that, we don't propose any other changes. Previously, we were proposing some new siding and moving and shifting some of the windows around to align with apartments. That no longer is the case. On the first floor, we are trying to reuse as many offices as possible and reuse as many of the existing spaces as possible. So as far as an architectural review, the exterior is going to remain the same. We don't have any plans of changing the siding or any of the windows. The only thing that we are proposing to do is to change the front entrance door, and there currently is a step at that front entrance door, so we are proposing to revise just the concrete pad that is just outside the door and make that handicap accessible.
Okay.
So that's the extent of the exterior changes. During the last review, we had worked back and forth with Eric to address some of the parking issues that we had and restripe the parking to make it more user-friendly.
Yeah, it was a little bit of
a little difficult.
hodgepodge.
Yes, so all of those changes are still on the plan. We still propose to do those
Okay.
and make those changes. We also do not currently have a dumpster enclosure, so we are looking to put a dumpster enclosure in and again, try to clean up the space that's there. That really is the extent. Unfortunately, the bats don't like our site because we don't have too many trees, so I don't think we have to worry about that issue.
Terrific. All right, Eric?
Sure. Staff recommendation, after the site plan and special use permit public hearing, staff is recommending that the board proceed with a negative declaration and a conditioned site plan and special use permit approval. Yeah, I did get that, okay. The only, I guess the only comment for discussion perhaps with the applicant is really a recommendation, not a requirement, but to consider, maybe to consult with the town engineer or other experts on the safety, which circulation pathway would be better, to go clockwise or counterclockwise. There's a tension, there's some minor conflicts either way, and either way could work. When there's, with the handicap space and the drop-off area are located close to the existing entrance. It's kind of designed to work that way now, but it could back up. So we just ask that they consult with a professional to figure out which direction makes more sense.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd actually like to discuss that a little bit tonight.
Sure.
We have looked at that a little bit. I think that was a comment in our initial meeting with Eric. We had talked about trying to reverse that. The existing ingress and egress of this site has been this way when it was office space. There hasn't been any issues with the handicap parking to date. I think the real issue comes in where we are going to have a loading zone or a loading space for individuals to get dropped off. This is a little different than your typical daycare space where you have maybe at 8:30 a line of 15 parents dropping off their kids all at once. This is a little different. So most of the folks are going to be coming from program or homes that are run by Greystone. So we have the opportunity to stagger the times on when they get dropped off. So we're really not anticipating a period of time, in the morning at 8:30, let's say, or 9 o'clock when the program starts, that all of a sudden, there's going to be 5 or 6 or 10 vans showing up. They will basically be staggered, every 5 minutes or so to allow them to get dropped off, come in, just the nature of the program and the homes, always running a little late anyway, so there's never really a surge of vehicles. The other option of that as well, or other kind of caveat to that, is sometimes there may be an individual that might be a little bit more difficult, that maybe can't just walk in on their own where the van would park. They would have staff helping them in. So, that would be one of the parking spaces that they would take up. So it's not just the loading. So there's sort of a little different kind of thought process than your typical, daycare drop-off.
All right. Thanks for explaining that.
Sure.
Do you have any issues with that, Don, or
No.
any drainage issues in the parking, or?
No, we don't have hardly anything left on this, and, whatever they want to do, I think, whatever makes the most sense.
Okay, thanks. This is on for a hearing, so I move we open a public hearing for this project.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Is there anyone in the audience wish to comment on this project tonight? Seeing none, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Let's go around the board for comments. Start with Peter this time.
We looked at this before. I mean, I don't see there are no real surprises here. You are truly an asset to our community, and just please keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of went over a couple of things that I was a little worried about, such as the handicap accessibility and just making sure that parking is redone a little bit. But other than that, it looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks good here from my point of view, but I am curious, how many vans do you usually have to bring in these 20 or so people? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I would say probably 6 to 8, depending upon how many are actually coming that day. So not every individual would come to the program each day.
And they're coming from homes in this area?
Yeah, these are individuals who have basically not been able to stay in other day-hab programs around the county with other agencies. And right now, they're sort of hanging out at home. We're trying to do our best with them. But that's sort of what prompted the state to say, okay, they hadn't really been in favor of site-based day-hab programs.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and what's your mile radius about? Because I'm curious.
We go from Stanfordville to Wappingers, and actually we have 2 in Ulster County, so Milton. Yeah, so it's kind of that triangle.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, Rafa. And Joe?
Are the pickup times equally staggered, like the drop-up?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Yep.
thank you. Yeah, I have no problems. It's a great
Okay.
program. Thank you.
Yeah, we approved this project before, and it was a little more involved last time with the building changes, but this looks like a good adaptive reuse as well, so good to go.
I move that the planning board grant conditional site plan and special use permit approvals for the Greystone Day Hab project subject to the following. Respond to comments of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies. Said responses to be reviewed by the planning department as to adequacy and completeness, inclusive of, but not limited to, 1 through 8D.
Second.
Moved and seconded to grant conditional. Called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. You mentioned architectural. Are you planning to do anything, paint?
Again, the only thing that we were planning on doing is, whatever maintenance is required on the actual handicap ramp, and just the front entrance door, there's a concrete slab that we are proposing to just make handicap accessible.
Okay.
Other than that, there's no siding, no windows, no roofing.
Trying to remember what siding is on there
Yeah,
currently.
I do have some existing pictures. If you'd like, I could pass them out.
That'd be good.
So the first one is 36, the other one is 42. I wasn't sure if you wanted to see those as well.
Just saying they're good, in good shape since you, are not planning to change it.
That's the one they're doing.
Yeah.
That's the one on the side, I believe.
Does anyone have any architectural comments?
No.
It looks good.
I move we accept architecture as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. You're good to go, and
Great.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What? Sure, if you'd like to.
Next up, South Road Crossings, public hearing, seeker review, and coastal consistency review and recommendation to the town board, and a subdivision review and site plan review, all in one. For a proposed minor subdivision, the creation of an open development area on the rear hotel lot. Construction of 5 new buildings, including a 5-story hotel, a bank, 2 retail sites, and a retail coffee shop. Zone BH, highway business. It's an unlisted Action Cameron Properties LLC owner. Welcome back, guys.
Good evening, Ken Casamento from LRC. Since we met last time, we had a couple little items that we were working through, DOT and some questions on the potential visual from Locust Grove. Other than that, really the plan hasn't changed to date. We are in receipt of comments from staff from the last meeting that we are resubmitting on the 28th for the November meeting. So you'll see all some minor changes to the site layout based on previous staff comments. But from the October meeting to now, we haven't made any large changes that the board would have seen yet for a full submission. But we did work through the DOT. DOT has accepted it. Kevin from the applicant's office met with Locust Grove. I believe there's a letter in your file. They didn't seem to have any concern with that, so I think we're in good shape to at least be able to move forward with hopefully a negative declaration so we can proceed with the ODA at the town board.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ken. Eric? Oh, no, Kristen has this one.
So the application is before you tonight to open the public hearing. Staff is recommending you adjourn the public hearing and move forward with the seeker neg deck. As Ken pointed out, we did recommend, or we provided at the last meeting, a recommendation to either go forward with the recommendation to the town board about the ODA or to defer action on the application. As it got closer to the September meeting, we didn't have a letter or indication from an involved agency, DOT, whether or not they were okay with the application as it was proposed based on information provided. So Ken and I know Mazer and they worked, Phil's behind you, worked with DOT to update their traffic impact study, get some revised information, some additional information, and we do have a letter now in your packets that identifies that DOT is satisfied with the proposed action based on some more current data. I'm not a traffic engineer, so I'm butchering this, but they're using a more current traffic analysis, I believe, and the applicant has also agreed to using some other mitigation tactics as they proceed through this process. So we are recommending that you adopt a seeker neg deck, provide a coastal consistency determination, and provide a recommendation to the town board regarding the open development area. There is one condition with 5 sub-conditions, if you will, but basically that captures any and all agreements that would be required as part of the open development area as it moves towards the town board for their review and potential approval.
Okay.
And you would be deferring action on
Yes.
site plan and special use permit. So any comments related to site circulation, those, if you have concerns or comments still about that, feel free to bring them up. But at this time, they haven't actually responded to comments from September in writing yet. And they will be providing a revised site plan. But again, those comments or any concerns related to landscaping or other circulation or parking, they can still be worked through as we proceed once they come back to the planning board.
Yeah, we got to wait for the town board to do the rezoning, or the open development area.
Right.
Not rezoning. All right, any engineering issues to discuss tonight?
Nothing new, so they didn't submit anything this time, so.
Okay, right. All right, this is on for a hearing, so I move we open the public hearing for this project.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Is there anyone in the audience wish to comment on this project? Seeing none, I move we adjourn the hearing to November 21st, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Let's go around the board for comments. Start with Nicole.
I heard Coyote Grill was bought,
Not by
not by you
nope.
guys.
No, I do not think it has been purchased, as far as I know.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Wasn't us.
Wasn't you?
Okay.
Okay. That was it. Thank you.
That might change the plans if you were going to incorporate something in, but, Rocco?
Okay, based on what Kristen said, I think I'll have more comments later, but just as a quick preview, are you thinking about ways to get from your area into the various other shopping centers are?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
whoa, that got loud. Yes, the original approval back when we did the Ambassador Town Square, we gave both an access to the north through to Coyote Grill, and there's a access area that is here, which aligned with this drive here to the next plaza. The applicant has met with them several times. They're not interested in formally making the connection, but we had agreed with staff and both at the previous application and currently that we've agreed that if they come to the table at a future date, that would be a connection point that we would be agreeable to letting them come in and creating an easement for them at that time formally. And again, through the circulation up into the Coyote property. So there has been allocations made up for our site to get access to both directions.
All right, thank you.
It only seems to make sense for people to stay
Absolutely.
at the hotel to be able to go over to stores and get there easier.
Well, they can through the gas station.
They can, but there's,
Yeah.
Right, have you talked with them, or?
I'm sorry?
I said, have you talked with them? You have already, okay.
all right, Joan?
Yeah, no, I don't really have any comments, just to echo Rocco's sentiment about the access to the extent you can, just to keep, traffic off of Route 9 as much as possible.
Right.
That would be it.
Right. I mean, that was the intent. The other party has to.
Hopefully they'll be coming before you and you can say the same thing. 'Cause
Exactly.
so far it's fallen on deaf ears.
All right, appreciate that you've tried. Peter?
We're going to, just as a heads up, we're going to be looking at the intersection at Beechwood and Route 9, the queuing there for people making a turn to go south on Route 9. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yep, soften the look there. Yeah, traffic is one of my biggest concerns. This project only has the right in and right out, so everybody's going to be doing U-turns to get in and out of this. Or a lot of people will be. Probably half of them coming from the north and wanting to go back north and vice versa.
Yeah.
And since you have Phil here, do you think it's possible to have him speak to some of the discussion you had with DOT and?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Good evening. To start with the U-turns at Beechwood, that was evaluated in detail as part of the Ambassador Town Square project. So we actually have fewer U-turns than before. However, as part of the discussions with DOT and part of the mitigation or part of our highway work permit, what they're doing is along that section of Route 9 is getting the signals updated with what they refer to as pucks, but additional actuation that allows them to monitor and update the signals. So we will be installing additional, as part of our work permit, we've agreed to make those installations. They've already started on several of the intersections, and this would help complete the whole system there. In terms of the U-turn, because we now only have a right in, right out, under Ambassador Square, there was the allowance for a left turnout originally. The U-turns to the south were also analyzed, and again, the mitigation that we've been asked to include, we've provided the analysis. They're going to be making some adjustments to signal timings, but the equipment, the hardware that's being added would allow them to be more efficient at it in terms of, actual loadings. So that's where we are.
I'm glad to hear that, because the study that was done before included a signalized intersection there.
That's correct.
But now, if you're telling me that you're going to use the what you call the activation system?
Actuation. Yes.
Actuation, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yeah, the signal before was only for left turns exiting, which was complicated, but yes.
Thanks. Thank you.
As for the signal update, I've heard there's signals that use video camera now, or is that not part of this stuff?
There are signals that use video. DOT right now does not like to use them because there's problems in the winter with icing, et cetera. So what basically they look like hockey pucks. They're installed in multiple in each lane, so they know what the volumes are at any time, and it's all fed back through modems to their office, so they don't even have to go out into the field. They can look at an intersection and know what the volumes are by lane at an intersection.
So that's more than just the signal loops.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Is this part of the DOT's action plan, the actuation?
Yes.
Okay, so are they asking you to participate in that?
Correct. That's exactly correct. So they're in the process of doing several intersections along Route 9. They've asked us to do 2 intersections to help complete that system. So that's...
Okay, great. Thanks for explaining.
You're welcome.
I would just like to add something too. It is certainly refreshing that, and thank you for reaching out to Locust Grove and actually going and walking the site with them. I know that it did a lot in terms of appeasing concerns, not that they were overly significant, but when it comes to site plan and looking at landscaping, I know that it was very much appreciated. And from staff and a planning board perspective, I think that should be noted. So thank you.
Welcome. Thanks, Kristen. And I'd just like to add, again, I appreciate that you're working to get a vacant property out of the way and make it more useful again. So.
An eyesore.
So, go ahead.
I move that the planning board hereby determine that the South Road crossings would not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and that no environmental impact statement will be required for the reasons set forth in the seeker negative declaration for an unlisted action dated October 17, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded for seeker. Called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I move that the planning board provide a positive recommendation to the town board regarding the open development area.
They had to do the coastal consent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I move that the planning board determine that the South Road crossings is consistent with the town of Poughkeepsie's approved local waterfront revitalization program.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I move that the planning board provide a positive recommendation to the town board regarding the open and development area of South Road crossing, subject to the following 1E.
Second.
Moved and seconded for ODA recommendation. Called to question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I move that the planning board defer further action on this application and direct the applicant to respond to comments in writing of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies, included but not limited to the following, 1 through 9.
Second.
Moved and seconded to defer. Called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, good luck with the town board. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
see you back here sometime soon.
See you in a month.
Next up, we have Fox Run at Fulton, also known as Fairview Commons. It has been removed from the agenda, but seeing it's on for public hearing, I move that we open a public hearing for this project.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on Fox Run tonight? Seeing none, I move we adjourn the public hearing to, what's we do, November 21st, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And we have a few adjournments. T-Mobile at Faith Assembly of God at 25 Golf Club Lane. I move that the planning board adjourn the public hearing to January 17th, 2020.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Vassar Inn and Institute, seek a review and recommendation to the town board on zoning text amendment and site plan hearing. I move that we adjourn the site plan public hearing to November 21st, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next up, Haifa Holdings LLC at 819 Main Street. I move we adjourn the public hearing to November 21st, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next item, Raymond Avenue School property redevelopment is on for a site plan public hearing. And I move we adjourn the public hearing, site plan public hearing to November 21st, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And last public hearing item, Stewart's Shops at 6 Manchester Circle. I move we adjourn the public hearing to November 21st, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, this time I move we allow public comment on any other agenda items on tonight's meeting. We ask that you please limit your comment to no more than 3 minutes, and we will consider any comments made during this portion of the meeting, but not respond to them during the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Is there anyone in the audience wish to make comments on any other agenda items tonight? Seeing none, I move we resume the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Let's see. Next up, Salt Point Center is off the agenda tonight, as we mentioned. Vassar College, Prentice Field, amended site plan. Next, seeker review and amended site plan review for the construction of a 2,990 square foot storage building zoned IN institutional on 63.35 acres on Hooker Avenue. It's a type 2 action, Vassar College owner. Welcome.
Good evening.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been minutes. As you may or may not remember, in June, April actually, we came forward. We had, for the same project the original location was to have 2 sheds, and through discussions through cost savings and allocation, when some other people got involved, they determined that that just wasn't practically the right way to go. So they scrapped the 2 sheds and have come to 1 in 1 location, as you can see before you in the plan in front of you.
All right, pretty straightforward. Kristen?
Yep, I think Ken pretty much captured all of that. The most important thing is the applicant has requested a waiver of the public hearing, as this was just a previously approved project and it's gone from 2 storage sheds to 1. And it was approved just as most recent of April this year. So they are requesting a waiver. Staff is recommending granting that waiver, adopting a seeker type 2 action resolution, and adopting a resolution to grant conditional site plan approval. There are just some very minor comments that have to be worked out on the plans.
Okay, great, thanks. And the remaining engineering issues?
Our only real issue is to make sure this thing gets staked so it doesn't go over the property lines when it's constructed.
Yeah, I remember that was an issue with the sheds before, so. Okay, let's go around the board for.
Bless you.
Go around the board for comments. Let's start with Peter.
My only comment is it makes a lot of sense that you shifted everything onto 1 parcel.
Yes.
And then, other than that, it's fine.
Joan?
No comment.
All right, Rocco?
Yeah, I'm good.
And Nicole?
Proposed lighting, anything for this?
There is no proposed lighting.
Okay. And then quickly from the water department, I'm sure you probably received this, but the backflow prevention is overdue. They're like it.
I'm
Did
not.
you do this
I'm
already?
not quite sure what
So,
happened because
Yeah,
in order
you
to get the
submitted
signature.
documentation. I did actually go back to the file. You submitted documentation to the planning
Did.
department
Yes.
that never,
Okay, so
never
then-
made it to the water department, though.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, that was
was
the
it.
same condition and comment we had for when the last time was, so
Okay.
we made them get it done.
All right,
Okay,
great.
good.
Great. Okay, that's
And they
it.
wouldn't have signed your plans
No,
without having
exactly.
that, so.
Just lapse in paperwork. It's all good
Okay.
though.
All right, that's good, Ken. Yep, makes sense to consolidate if that saves some money too. All right, go ahead.
I move that the planning board waive a public hearing for the Vassar College Prentice Field amended site plan approval per Town Code 210-151L.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I move that the planning board determine that the proposal meets the criteria for a Seeker Type 2 action pursuant to Seeker Part 617.5C7 and no further environmental review is required.
Second.
Moved and seconded for seeker, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I move that the planning board grant conditional site plan approval for Vassar College Prentice Fields amended site plan application subject to the following. Respond to comments in writing of the planning board and those received from town departments and agencies, and said response to be reviewed by the planning department as to adequacy and completeness inclusive of but not limited to the following 1 through 8.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Let's do architectural.
Absolutely. It's a metal Morton building. It's really simple, and it's a really small sample for you, Eric. It's the roof and the siding. The only difference is the siding is the tan color, and the roof is the maroon or red color. Ivory is what they call the side. Other than that, it's pretty standard. The posts are wood, and the doors are a white metallic fiberboard type standard door, garage door and doors.
Those Vassar colors.
Yes.
Yep, it looks pretty impressive for a shed to have a little post like that. Anybody have any architectural comments?
Looks good.
Fine shed.
I move we accept architecture as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, called to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Do you
Right.
want the sample?
Yep. Eric's reciting his house.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Ken, you too.
Oh, yeah. My apartment.
All right, next up, let's see, 766 Main Street's off the agenda. So we have a discussion on center, right? You guys ready?
Good evening. Mike Bodendorf, Hudson Land Design, for the applicant. I'm joined here with Eric Rogie, also from Hudson Land Design, and we're both here before you tonight because we may have conflict in the future when we do make application to this board. So it'll be either Eric or myself presenting this project, but it might not be one of us through the whole thing. We do have a presentation prepared on the computer, but we could do it old school here. We just have a few questions for you. We're also joined here by the applicant CPD Group for this site located at 3480 North Road, otherwise known as the Mid-Hudson Center, mobile station in front of the Home Depot there. The proposal calls for addition of a Dunkin' Donuts within the building, along with a drive-through. And there were 3 points of issues that I saw that I wanted, perhaps the planning board to weigh in on. And if you'd like, I could just kind of go through the site plan with you here.
Yep, that'll be good. Take the,
Okay,
take the portable mic with you.
Yep. Okay. Test? Okay. So the mobile station is located here in the northwest corner of the parcel, Home Depot back here. So the drive-through would be located on the north and west side of the building because, the site is already set up. We really can't position that anywhere else. So what happens is, in order to install this drive-through, we need a retaining wall because the grade drops off behind the building. It's hard to see on this plan, but this retaining wall pretty much lines up with the existing freestanding stone wall that's there. Okay. So what we would like to do is remove the stone wall, put in a precast retaining wall, and then face that retaining wall with the same stone from that wall, so it'll appear the same as that wall from Route 9. Now, there's options we can do with that wall is, a retaining wall, you could have it at the grade, at the top grade that it's retaining, or we could raise it higher than that so that it's still like a freestanding wall similar to the other walls there. But in raising it above the grade would bring the appearance of it from Route 9 a little bit higher than it is now. I think it sits at about 3.5 feet to 4 feet above grade as you look at it from Route 9. If we were to raise it above the grade for this, it might appear at about 5 feet. So, or we could keep it low. We do have some space in between the drive-through lanes and the wall where we could put, some landscaping, screening to sort of soften that look. And this is one of my points I wanted to talk about is this drive-through is located on the front of the building. We really don't have any other options for it. So I wanted to go over that. Another point I wanted to talk about is we have 2 ways to get pedestrian access up here via ADA access. There's 2 sidewalks that are brought into the site, but they just end. We could bring it up this way, crosswalk, get to our site this way. Going up along Winslow Gate Road is a little bit gentler of a grade. It wouldn't require any handrails. I think that side works a little better. However, the way it sort of connects with the site, we may need to lose a parking space because of that one. So there's potential issues with each. This one exceeds 5% a little bit, but I think with the ADA regulations, when you're retrofitting an ADA ingress, you could exceed those grades slightly. We would be a little bit higher than 5% there if we didn't have handrails and landings, but we could put handrails and landings there as well. And then the third point, well, I guess I talked about all of the point 1, drive-through in the front of the building. Point two is the appearance of this wall and what the planning board would prefer to see here. And then, maybe weigh in on which route you would like to see.
All right, just kind of up for discussion, so I'll let anybody weigh in whatever they think. I'd like that you have the plan to at least keep the stone facing that and make it, look consistent with everything else there, that you're not going to change that look.
Something that we're going to be looking at is you have on the plan that we have, the site plan, the exit out from the internal road. You have up to the radius. You have about 210 feet to the radius, and then you swing north to your property, to the mobile station. We're going to want to know about queuing in that 210 feet as a consequence of your having the Dunkin' Donuts there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're very popular.
Right.
So that's something that we're going to have to be comforted about, that that queuing is going to be sufficient at that exit, because that light, it's a very long light going either way, north or south. So I'm just saying, forewarned is forearmed, and we'll want you to take a look at that.
Okay, and you're talking about queuing here,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yep.
That can back up even now with the cars waiting to get out at that light.
And we don't want to block the internal road.
Right.
Yeah, with Starbucks and McDonald's already there, you get it backed up early morning.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And I assume you're familiar that there's another huge project adjoining your parcel, right?
Yes.
And that will be another couple of drive-throughs right there. So we have that whole issue to deal with, all the drive-throughs and all the queuing that associated with them, so that, as Peter said, we got to make sure that's all coming together correctly.
Also, keep in mind that, you mentioned landscaping. That's probably something that we'll be looking at, particularly since the drive-through is going to be facing
Route 9.
Route 9.
Mm-hmm.
So come up with something that's...
Yeah, we don't want the wall to be 12 feet to hide it, but we want to
Right, I
put some kind of screening in place to make
I think the
nicer.
wall at the similar height that it's at now, and it would be a uniform height over the entire stretch of the wall. I think that, coupled with some landscaping behind it, I think would look nicer than a taller wall.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. You have some room for landscaping between the wall and your parts and the drive-through lanes. Then that will help.
Okay.
Let's see. We just double checked that we touched on the three things you were concerned about.
Just the ADA access, is there any preference of this board as to which side we propose that on? I mean, there is another option to put a switchback, somewhere around here, but I think that takes away from the overall look, the landscaping in front of the site.
I think the ADA mandates that it's got to be close to the entrance.
Yeah.
So wherever the entrance is, you really don't have a lot of flexibility.
Right. Yeah. So are you leaning towards that, since the entrance is here, we should be looking at a switchback ramp next to the stairs?
I think the answer is that you should probably find out what's acceptable by code for the ADA, because I don't know that this board has a lot of leeway to waive those things. We've run up against that in a couple of other projects where it wasn't taken into account until later in the process and has caused a lot of design concerns and rearranging that happened later on. So, it's not something that this board would waive. So whatever the requirements are, the proposal that comes in should be compliant from the start.
Okay.
I mean, my 2 cents is you're going to be getting foot traffic possibly from Marist students as well as some of the new tenants up there, but they're a little bit further away from a pedestrian standpoint.
And I can tell you that pedestrian crossing at Marist, the way it's signalized is you really don't have a lot of time to get across the street. I don't know if that's something that we should take a look at or not, but they give you about 15 seconds to get across
Route
there.
9, you mean? Okay.
I was out there just recently, and just a couple of thoughts I observed. One was, right now there are 2 dumpsters on the site,
And I'm wondering, there's one in an enclosure, and then there's another one kind of sitting in the landscaped area. So I guess it would make sense to take a look at your enclosure and the number of dumpsters, and whether you have enough space for whatever you need it for.
Right.
That would be one. Another is, the board mentioned queuing, but as you know, with Hudson Heritage coming forward, just while I was up there in the space of a few minutes, quite a few vehicles came through the connector from Winslow Gate Road. Right now, that's kind of a deteriorated, mostly theoretically unused connector. There's no land use on it, and it's supposed to be one way, but I would think
It's assigned to generally ignored.
Right, exactly. But it would be worth taking a look at your traffic distribution and what's going to happen. If that connection is going to become a significant route, it really needs some upgrades. There's a catch basin falling through, the pavement's deteriorated, et cetera. And then also I'm going to suggest that you actually sit down and meet with the building department on the ADA requirements. Planning staff would be happy to sit in on that, so we can know what's coming for any site plan.
Okay.
But as a part of that discussion with building, you might explore whether, since there's going to be eventually a town road at Winslow Gate, then you might find out if there's any ADA options through that pathway as an alternative. I don't know, but it might be a question for ADA requirements, because that might facilitate eliminate some of the grade problem if it was available.
There are still sidewalks continuing around there, I believe, so.
And then the last thing was, I know right now there's a lot of, the front of the store is pretty well filled up with exterior display, which is typically, that's probably going to be a topic of discussion with any site plan review. Usually exterior storage has to be identified, and pedestrian pathways outside are probably going to be designated for pedestrian use and not for additional retail sales.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Eric. Yeah, it sounds like we're going to get a powwow on the ADA issues.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
There's lots-
I do have one more question with regards to parking and the overall lot. I did some research on the previous site plans that have been done on the site, for McDonald's and so forth. McDonald's did a parking calculation for all three parcels on this lot, and I'm just wondering, I know McDonald's slightly goes over one of the parcels, but this one is completely on the most northerly parcel. So when I'm doing my parking calcs, do I just include this entire parcel? Do I need to include the entire site when I'm calculating that?
I'm going to suggest that when you put together a concept plan, that you're going to have to meet with building department anyway. We're going to have to talk some more about traffic, and it's probably going to need a traffic study anyways. So when you put together a concept plan, before actually making the submittal, let's sit down, kind of work through it. Maybe we can get engineering in, and any other departments that make sense. Zoning department, zoning administrator, as far as setbacks and parking requirements, because it was a little bit difficult on McDonald's because of the lease area. There's some ambiguity when you're dealing with a lease parcel.
Right.
So let's sit down. I can't tell you off the cuff right here.
Okay, yeah, and
let's
this
sit down and look at it.
And this is a leased area as well within the parcel.
Okay.
Okay.
And then that way we'll move it along before, so that when you submit, maybe a lot of those questions will already be answered.
Yeah, you don't want to get too much set in stone with spend the money before we get these questions answered,
Right.
so.
And parking
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah, I don't think
Just
parking is
VA,
an issue.
you would have to figure out.
Access, and I think what's going to be important is the landscape screening for the drive-through as well.
Are the other drive-throughs in this plaza, are they on the front of the building facing Route 9? I can't recall.
Yes, no.
I mean, the
McDonald's.
McDonald's is on the back side, but
faces
it
the
starts
back.
in the front.
Yep. You'll have to,
The bank is in the front. Yeah, the bank is in the front.
McDonald's actually starts on the side.
And Starbucks does not have a drive-through.
Yeah.
I make one suggestion: save your client a lot of time and money, and talk to our planning department. They're very knowledgeable. They will guide you, and they'll pretty much will tell you, what way to go, so that you don't have to keep coming back here again and again. And we want you to be successful. But just a word to the wise. Talk to the planning department, and they'll guide you, and they'll give you a pretty good idea what you're gonna have to do.
Okay.
What was the third issue again you brought up?
Well, it was the access, the wall, and just the position of
Okay.
the drive-through.
Yeah, and my sense on the walls, we don't want to make it excessively high so that it looks too different from the rest of the wall along.
And putting the stone on there, I think, is
But I think
a good idea.
putting the stone on is good, and getting a landscape behind it is what we'll be looking for.
And this wall will be beefier, it won't have any chance of falling down after it's built.
Yep, yeah, it's got to retain a little bit more. Is there any incursion into the wetland buffer area there? Because that's, the wetland I know is right close as well. Yeah.
In here?
Right. So you got to be careful of that. I don't know where, because the wall's going to come around that corner as well, right?
Yeah, it generally, it actually ends shorter than where the wall ends now.
Okay.
And the reason for that is just in case we do put access through here, we wanted to, not have to.
Yeah,
go
as
through
Eric
the wall.
mentioned, I think that access has to be beefed up because you're going to get cross traffic from the other residents to the north without going on to Route 9. You'll just come down that main street there and come in. And I do see that used a lot. People, turn south and turn into there so they avoid coming in at the light.
Guilty.
So.
Okay.
Anything we haven't answered for you for tonight?
The applicants are here. If you have any questions regarding the business operations, we can certainly answer them tonight, or we can table that for another time.
I assume you'll be doing some architectural updates to the building to put in
Yes.
drive-through windows
Yeah,
and
but
everything.
mostly interior renovations. I mean,
Duncan's gonna want something on the outside, we'll come through
right.
with that.
Yep.
And signage and such, we gotta review as well.
Yep.
Would there be tables inside? I mean, do people come into this kind of a Dunkin' Donuts and sit down, or is it just drive-through?
No, not in this size, this is just gonna be a counter inside, basically, there's not enough room for seating there. So it'll be a drive-through and then a service counter inside.
Okay. Thanks. That means you won't be adding a lot of parking just for that. Any other comments, anyone? All right, good. Get with the department, schedule a session and try to iron out those details with the ADA.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Last up is a time extension, Dutchess Dodge inventory parking. I move that the planning board grant a one-day, 60-day time extension from Monday, October 14th, 2019 to Friday, December 13th, 2019.
Second.
Call to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Any other business before the board tonight? Seeing none, I move we terminate the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded, call to question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Move to terminate.